Hello and welcome to Crushing Comics, the series where I fall in love with my comic book collection all over again after it traveled around the world to be with me. That's some dedication. I'm going to pick a bundle of comic books off the wall here. We need to start opening up some space in a new block because I've just finished filling up these 2 blocks behind me, so we need somewhere to go. All right. One of the really interesting things about this move for me, I now live in Wellington, New Zealand. I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I lived there previously my whole life, is the culture shock for me is probably really different than the culture shock for other people. In some ways it's the same, because it was going to be a culture shock to me no matter where we moved. Like, I get culture shock going to a grocery store in California. Everybody does, but some people have actually moved around a little bit more in their lives, and they don't get totally freaked out by the fact that they don't have their favorite brand of pasta sauce at the store in their new community. But this took it to a whole new level, because not only am I not in the same country, not only is not the pasta sauce the same, I'm not in the same country, and everything is different. The candy is different. The maple syrup is in the ice cream fixings aisle. You know, it takes some getting used to. Of course, I don't have a language barrier, although I do have an accent barrier, and there are points that I can't understand the folks here in New Zealand. I'm sure there are points when they cannot understand me. But it's been a really eye-opening experience, because if you just move in America, you're still in America. You're still, in a way, at home. People might make fun of your accent or say that you don't know the local ways, but you're all part of the same country. And being here somewhere very, very different, it's just, there's a lot of cultural factors that you notice. For example, people say these little catchphrases you've never heard before. Like, if they're just trying to say, like, okay, fine, say, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. I'm not good at the accent yet. Which doesn't even start to sound like words after a while. And then the other one they say is sweet as. Like, hi, I'm Peter. I just need your help lifting up this box. Thanks so much. Sweet as. Which can come out as sweet ass if you're not careful, so you really have to mind it. Oh, okay. This is 2 oversized hardcovers of, Captain Britain. I love Captain Britain because I'm a big Excalibur fan. Excalibur was the Chris Claremont and largely Alan Davis series that launched after the X-Men had been diluted a little bit in the 80s, and they had shipped off Kitty Pryde, Nightcrawler, and Phoenix to England, really to Muir Island, to recover from injuries, and then they got absorbed into a team with Captain America and his longtime girlfriend Megan. Captain Britain and his longtime girlfriend Megan. And if you were just coming to that comic at that point, you might not realize that Captain Britain, who by the way is Psylocke's brother, had a long and storied history in comics because they weren't really in American comics. Captain Britain was a creation of Marvel UK, and not the Marvel UK of the 90s that some people might remember that did things like Dark Angel and Death's Head and Motormouth and Kill Power, but in Marvel UK that really was reissuing a lot of Marvel reprints all the way from the 70s up through the 90s in magazine and weekly format. They didn't do a whole lot of original comic books other than things that were being serialized in their magazines, but Captain Britain wound up being originally, I guess, a backup feature, and then ultimately got his own comic book. And so it's almost like very DC in his origins, because actually I guess maybe he did start in his own comic book. He's in a way very DC in his origins, because it's this very like getting the power of the national spirit, which is like not as much of a Marvel thing, which people, he's still a very fallible hero, and he still definitely has problems. He's kind of an obnoxious bore sometimes, but he's another one of like Marvel's super smart, super rich, blonde, super scientist guys, but he's British, so he's totally different. But he actually is a fun hero to read because he's a little bit boorish in a way that a lot of the other heroes of the period weren't. And because he's got that British sensibility to him, he gets into different situations than a lot of the other Marvel heroes. He's not analogous to Captain America really at all. He has problems with confidence, and then sometimes he's overconfident, and sometimes he's not confident enough, and at points in his story, not being confident actually affects the strength of his powers. So Captain Britain did not make that many appearances in US Marvel Comics. So this first collection of Captain Britain 1976 1-39 and Super Spider-Man and Captain Britain 231 and 232 doesn't have any American comics in it. And the second one of Super Spider-Man and Captain Britain 233 to 247, now we finally go to America in Captain Britain's big American debut and Marvel Team Up 65 and 66. So he was introduced to American audiences by way of Spider-Man. And then back to Hulk comic, which was an ongoing UK reprint and original comic series. Rampaging Hulk are collections of original Hulk comics from the UK, one of the few characters that they actually had their own material for. And then Hulk Weekly, and then Incredible Hulk UK. So all through this whole period, he had never appeared in American comics. Now, people get confused because they think these two omnibuses are the part of him that is written by Alan Moore, which is very, very famous. They are not. They collect every little bit and bob of Captain Britain material that comes before the Alan Moore stuff. He's not in this. The writers are Jim Lawrence, Chris Claremont, who I bet you didn't know had already been writing Captain Britain, which explains why he loves Psylocke so much, Steve Parkhouse, and those are the writers. So then, after this, comes the Captain Britain Omnibus, which hopefully I'll unwrap at some point, because gosh, I hope it's here, by Alan Moore. And then after that, there is Captain Britain as he joins Excalibur and is known more widely to American audiences. It's an acquired taste. I'm not telling you to run out and grab them. If you have never heard of Captain Britain before, he's not a mutant. He's like X-Men adjacent. But if you have read them, if you did enjoy Excalibur in the 90s, when these came out, it was just such a thrill because talking about, a theme that's going to continue through this is comics that were inaccessible before there were collected editions and digital. You were not going to find all these back issues of these random UK comics. And even if you did, you'd be excerpting Captain Britain's stories from the reprints, and the issues were probably not going to be in that good shape, and it wasn't going to be fun for you. And that was the only way that you were possibly going to read it. So I just remember when this came out, even when it was solicited and I first saw it appear on Amazon, I was like, I just totally freaking out. I ripped it open as soon as I got home and started reading it because it was something I had been waiting probably since the age of 11 to read. So it's great when comics can do that for you, and it's great when collected editions can do that for you. Of course, now digital is making that much, much easier. But given how many issues this Captain Britain saga was stretched across, this one alone is from 41 different issues of comics, although it's not that thick. The books are really a practical way to go. These are a little hard to find now, but not as hard to find as the omnibus itself, and I'm so happy to have unwrapped them. So here is their official shelving. Captain Britain, Birth of a Legend, and Siege of Camelot. Onto the shelf. I'm going to have to do some adjusting here because I'm running out of available shelf space. Tune in next time as I continue to work my way through these collections and find what sentimental favorite or total stranger I unwrap in the next episode of Crushing Comics.